Why he fighting this? Why? What is his goal?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Welcome back to the Immigrant Section. I'm your host, Abbas Wahab, and in the studio today, we got Jennifer Hsiung. How are ya?
I am very well, and even happier that you got my last name pronounced correctly on the first go.
It is a little bit of a mystery with the HSZT.
Yes.
7. The 7 is the confusing part, if I'm being honest with you right now.
Well, you know, Asians and numbers, right?
But what's the worst pronunciation you got for that? Hsiung?
Oh, I've got like
Hsiung, yeah.
Hsiung. And I had this joke, like it's so pretentious. Like I'll go up and I'll be like, oh, people never know how to pronounce my name. Hsiung. And I go, it's what you do when you see me. It's showing, bada, showing. You know, like it's so like
it's all in the
such
delivery.
A brag.
Yeah. Thing. It's like what's it like Bugs Bunny style, like
yeah, exactly, cartoon.
Yeah, yeah. Cartoon boner sound.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dong. Right.
Is that what they call like onomatopoeia? Like those like exclamation sounds?
Like when the birds fly around your head?
Yeah, like when they do boom, pow, whap, like the comic book, like
like Batman transitions.
Yeah,
boom,
yeah,
wah,
yeah. And you see
pow,
those.
Wah,
Yeah.
Wah, and it's like trumpets. Wah. Yeah, I was actually thinking about. I was editing a video the other day, and I literally typed in old Batman funny transition sounds for those exact sounds. Wow.
Ooh, like they don't belong in a dictionary.
Yeah, right.
But somewhere.
Boom.
It
Kapoo.
should be. Yeah.
So you just did a show right now. How'd it go?
Oh, it
was
was awesome. It was at the Thompson Hotel. Have you been there?
I'm not sure. Maybe to drink, but not to perform there.
Super bougie and fancy. Like you just go in there and it's like the set of Gossip Girl and you're like, are these people for real?
Yeah.
But you're like, everyone smells good and it's so fancy and sexy. Like something about hotels just make you want to fuck.
Yeah, right? Because you're
especially when it's nice.
Right?
It's not like motel,
There's no responsibility here, right?
Everyone's mysterious.
Yeah, right.
There's so many mirrors and
I'm
lights.
not me. Yeah. I'm a whole new me.
Right.
I'm a 800 thread count me, you know? I'm taking one of these pills. I remember
money with envelope me. No, that's bad. Okay.
Back when I was in high school, we would go to the soccer tournament in Windsor. We'd stay at this hotel. My one buddy's be like, I'm going to take these pillows.
Oh my gosh.
Fucking idiot. You can take towels. You can't take the pillows.
The entire pillow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The ghettoest thing ever.
It's so dirty too because pillows don't get washed.
Yeah, right? It just all seeps through to the cotton or the down or whatever. But I imagine these days you're staying in some pretty premium hotels, aren't you?
No, oh my gosh, what are you
my God, not
implying?
even, right?
I have not had a vacation.
You push your Versace bag further under the table? What are you even talking about right now?
I'm not carrying Versace. It's Tory Burch today. Okay?
I don't even know. That's how you know it's nice because I've never heard of it.
No, that's a brand for the people.
Yeah.
But she is a white designer, so.
It's vegan, but also $7,000.
Well, no, it's leather, so.
It's because everybody who worked on this purse got paid $88,000 a year because higher than that, you don't have any happiness differences. It's actually in stats.
Yeah, it's
like,
really
what?
sad. We don't think about where our products come from. But do we really care? I mean, like, they have all these documentaries about where your food comes from and trying to be a vegan. At the end of the day, it looks like a burger is round. I don't see a cow, you know? Yummy.
The Impossible Burger or whatever.
Yeah.
It could just be it could just be beef.
Right.
You know? It could just be beef with like a really good marketing agency, right?
Right.
A lot of plants.
A really good soy marinade.
Yeah,
to make
exactly.
it taste vegan.
Primo. Ooh.
You wouldn't know. Yeah.
So one of the things that really interests me is about you is that you used to be like a news. I don't know if I want to anchor in China.
Yes.
Did you grow up there, move here, go back?
No.
How did you have how are you so equipped with the language that you could do that?
So basically, born in downtown Toronto, lived with my grandmother, and I would watch these like Chinese soap operas with her when I was a kid. But like the way I describe my family is like we really didn't come from like a traditional Chinese family. We really didn't. Like while my cousins were off doing like Kumon lessons and piano lessons on the weekend, I was at home on the weekend eating mac and cheese and watching Jerry Springer and Chinese soap operas.
Oh,
You know?
so it was still a weird mix.
It
So
was
the
a
Jerry
very-
Springer and the Chinese operas. Okay?
Exactly.
Were the Chinese operas also like, were they like Chinese trash?
Basically.
Was it all trash stuff, but different cultural trash?
It was exactly.
Or was it
from
high
like
level?
white trash to like Chinese trash. It was just all blended with some dirty dancing mixed in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I always felt it was weird because like my cousins, like, you know, they're kind of like the uppity, like proper Asians, and we just like, you know, I'm just going to be honest, like very dysfunctional Chinese family. Parents got divorced when I was 7 years old, and so I was, you know, I don't know. I don't want to like put a damper on this podcast because it does get very sad.
This is the best
This
kind of
is the
stuff.
real stuff,
Yeah,
okay?
It's
Yeah.
like I'm in part of the video, just like
Yeah, I know. You're like, no,
move
stop
on.
it, stop
No.
it.
No, absolutely go for it, 100%.
So I
be real.
think it's common. What you don't know in immigrant families is that like there is a lot of dysfunction. I mean, you're coming to a new country. My parents struggled with money. He owned a bunch of retail stores, my dad on Queen Street. Then the fortune teller was like, yo, if you get married to this woman, you're year of the rooster, she's year of the rat, you're going to lose all your money. And lo and behold, that became like a self-fulfilling prophecy. They fought over money. Basically, look, my dad was a good dad, but he beat my mom. We witnessed it. It was pretty bad. When I was 7, we went to go live in a women's shelter. And then my dad's best friend stepped in, and he was, oh my God, I can't believe, he was a child molester. It's okay. I'm fine. I'm rich now. It's okay. No.
Life,
God is fair. No.
the universe works its way out, you know, all things.
But I put him in jail because I went to journalism school, and it taught me that I could record a conversation with another party and have that be admissible in court. It took 2 criminal trials. I was living in Beijing at the time, had to come back to Toronto, do a criminal trial, go back to Beijing and work as an anchor, and then come back again because there was like some evidence that was
So
missing.
you had this person essentially confess to the crimes that they did
on
years
the
ago
tape,
on
tape, and that was the only thing in a he said she said case that goes back years ago. Like
Yeah.
they would never, if I didn't have that tape, it would have just been like dead. 'Cause
and that tape is totally allowed in court.
yes, because I was part of the conversation.
Okay.
So my lesson to you is if you need to get a confession out of someone,
Yeah.
you record yourself with them, you can submit that as evidence.
Okay, but if you like have them talking to your boy, it doesn't count. You
no,
have
you
to be
can't.
part of
You
it.
can't like the wire it and be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, po, like let's like listen in on this
Like
conversation."
snitch, yeah.
You can't snitch it unless you're a cop. You know
You
what I mean?
have to be part of it.
You have to be part of it.
And then it's full evidence, like open.
exactly.
What if you know what I was thinking about, like celebrities who like single celebrities who hook up a lot and stuff. If they
Right.
have like a camera in the hotel room and like a girl says, "Oh, he did this and that," is that totally allowed to be reviewed? Like if you have always video footage of like if you keep a camera in your hotel room
Right.
just to avoid like you know what I mean, like let's say Leonardo DiCaprio.
right.
Does he go to a
right.
hotel room and you have to put like a little
Yeah.
camera thing
Yeah,
always?
just to make sure that he's not being like Me Too'd or something.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, I think it could be.
Because I was
he's
thinking,
in
like,
there.
could her lawyers be like, "Oh, like
But then they
she
could,
didn't consent to videotaping or something like that." Like, I don't know
Right.
about the law.
No, there is such a thing as I think they can argue in like a different court. Like they could sue him in civil court over it was a breach of my privacy.
Oh,
But
it-
if you're pertaining to evidence
For a
that you
criminal
need
court,
for a criminal court,
it'll count.
It'll count
Okay.
because that is evidence.
okay, so you
know.
put this motherfucker away then.
I did, but I veered so off topic because you talked about like, did I always live in China? No, born in Toronto, went to China after graduating from Ryerson University. I was actually working as a traffic reporter for
Shout out to
680
Ryerson.
News. Are you guys
Oh.
affiliate? Is this Rogers? No, this is Bell. Ooh, the enemy. Oh, this mic is already like spitting on me.
You can't talk about where this is.
No. Oh, I can't?
Oh, they'll
Okay.
come. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, no,
There's
no.
one there.
Okay.
They'll come and they'll just be like, "Whoa, they record there." The
I'm
immigrant
always so-
section's in there. Like one person.
I know. I'm
Or-
always so paranoid because I lived in China and it's just like, they're, police state. It's becoming more of that lately.
What
so
was that like? You were in China for a decade, right?
basic, like 12 years.
Do you prefer? There's a lot of those countries where if you're like in the if you're doing well, if you're doing if you're part of more like the affluent part of society, or if you're if you got a career that's you're successful.
Right.
It's sometimes I find it's better to live in Western countries when you're in that situation.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
like if
for
you see how
sure.
people live in like Dubai or the
They're
or the
kings.
Gulf
Yeah.
or the Middle East or Africa or Asia, when they're in that, you know, you live like a totally different level of, you know, as compared to North American, like well-to-do.
Oh, for sure. And I think that it wasn't the draw for me to go there. Basically, I was like, it was 2006. China had just won the bid to host the 2008 Olympics. And I was in radio and I was like, you know what? It'd be like, I was really feeling the motherland. Like, I thought I knew so much about Chinese pride.
You had an
Like,
afro for some reason that didn't, it's like, what?
no afro, but I was definitely feeling like a lot of pride and thinking that I was so attuned to my culture. And man, did I get like a slap in the face when I actually went to China and realized that I was like the whitest bitch
whitest
in town. Like seriously, like I was like, what is going on? A woman's holding her child over the garbage can to pee. Like it's just like there's no kind of sense of personal space. It's just different. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just very culturally different. And like the Chinese people there versus the ones that have been acclimatized to Canada and North America.
The CBCs or whatever.
Civility here, you
Yeah.
know, it's just different. It's a city with over like 20 million people. And so when I went there, it was a huge culture shock. And now coming back to Toronto after 12 years, like Toronto's kind of changed from a facade point of view, but you do realize how much doesn't change. Like in China, it's just because of labor. Everything
Happens quick.
happens so quick, especially in the build up to the Olympics. Like buildings that would take like decades to finish in Toronto would get erected in a week there. Like they have what you call migrant workers coming from different provinces to the city.
Yes,
and they
yes,
just
yes.
work round the clock.
And then they
get
send
it
money
done.
home. And for them, it's like,
Yeah.
that's the same situation as for Canadians who are like, yo, you go to Fort Mac and you work in
Yeah.
the oil things.
Exactly,
And you
the
send
oil
the money.
business.
And you 2 years, you live on a
Yes.
complex, but then you kill, you come back home, you buy a house. It's
Totally. Mm-hmm.
probably the same thing for them over there, right? We
Yeah.
go build the house in Beijing, go back to the other provinces.
Totally, but in much like harsher, horrible conditions, making pennies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For it is the same situation for like Southeast Asians and like Indian people in like the Gulf countries. You know, there are a lot of the labor force.
Right.
And especially in like Qatar when they had the FIFA coming up.
Yeah.
They had major issues because they were working their people around the clock. So many people were dying in an effort
Yeah.
to erect the
Yes.
stadiums and everything to actually be able to have the capacity for that kind of tourism.
No, for sure.
It's crazy. And that kind of stuff, you can never get away with it here. But
No.
you can't have that level of commerce either.
Yeah.
So it's like this, from like
Exactly.
from
It's
this
like,
government point of view, it's
Right.
like the people could die, but look at all the things we can
Yeah.
do so quick. Yeah, we'll take the
yeah,
contract for
and the
sure. We'll figure it
nation-
out, you know?
And the nation will support it. And that was kind of the whole, like, the great leap forward with, I don't want to bore you guys with, like, Chinese history, but, like, Mao Zedong and why so many people starved. It was because it was seen as, like, the great leap forward to making China, like, a world economy again, and so many people suffered and died. And it's communism, but it's capitalism. Because if you go to China, it is technically a communist government, but the way the city runs, the way business runs, everything, bars open till 4 a.m., everyone's making money. It is the most capitalist place in the world. There's no social safety net. No one gives a shit if you die working to death. It's all about money. And yet the communism part is we need to be strong as a nation, you know?
There's
and
that,
they'll
like,
stamp out
nationalism
anything
there,
else,
yeah.
that will interfere with that. Hence, anytime there's a threat with different groups in like Xinjiang or whatever, like what's going on in Hong Kong, like if there's an uprising, they want to stamp it out because they don't want to turn into the USSR and lose that solidarity. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy out there. Like, I remember, like, I used to work in Shanghai just for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I used to. So I definitely, I get the vibes, but the stories you hear, the level of business hustle in China is just amazing. Like, how far the dollar goes for business hustle there, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, I heard of a story of a friend's dad. The way he got rich was that he, medication. The packaging it comes in, has like 8 cavities for 8 pills.
Yeah.
So he got a bunch of those machines, and he found out, like, he went to some supplier and he's like, I want to be your packaging person. And they're like, okay, have you done this before? And he's like, yeah, I've done this all the time. So he goes to another company that's doing it, and he pays them to put his logos up for like a week. So when they come do the supplier visit, it looks like his company. It's like that
Right,
kind of
right,
shit. And then he
yeah.
ended up getting the contract and then just took the money they fronted him and got his own operations. So he used the lie to make a truth. And that kind of thing
Wow.
does not, I mean, it obviously can happen everywhere.
Yes.
But on that large scale, I've never seen it. Being like coming from corporate manufacturing, that kind of shit, you can't get away with in North America.
Yeah.
There's too many gates. There's too many
Right.
red flags.
Yeah.
There's too many committees that decide on every
Govern.
little thing. Yeah, that govern stuff. That kind of stuff. These little hustles for huge contracts. It's something in China you see, like, you never see it here. It's unbelievable. So I'm like, it makes you think that's how people get so crazy rich. That's why you go to University of Waterloo or U of T and the 18-year-olds are in McLarens,
Yeah.
because they're getting sent over here and they want to say, like, it's a very status conscious culture.
Yeah.
So they're like, I'm here in Toronto and I want to have the nicest car. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of the times they're here because their family has paid for their scholarship or their tuition to come here. Like a lot of the times in China, like many rich Chinese kids, their parents will basically bribe schools or just front the money for them to get in with no real
That's the whole world.
Yeah,
That's literally the whole
that's
world.
The full
besides,
house lady, right? Like that's
yeah, exactly. And then it happened in America.
So
it's
it's
like,
not that uncommon, right?
you know?
No, but your money, you were talking about like the expat life, your money does go a long way, especially back then. Now it is getting more expensive. But like a lot of people are always shocked when I say like I had 3 nannies in China and they're like, oh my God, of course, Jen, you would. But when you're an expat with no immediate family, like everyone does it, you know, and because your money goes so much further there.
Yeah,
And
you
you
can give
need-
someone a
and you need that
livable
help.
wage
Yeah.
for an amount of money that does not break your bank, and you need that help. You don't think twice about it.
Right. And you can get like foot massages, oil massages, you can get your nails done every day. Like
It sounds like you had a team. You had a nursery. You were
do.
breeding.
Right, right. But you live in a bubble and then you come back here and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do everything on my own. This sucks. This is how people live. What? Like,
Yeah,
you know?
you came back even whiter than when you left, huh? You came
Oh my
back even
gosh.
whiter.
The colonized became
That's so funny.
Yeah.
What's that super popular dumpling place all over China? Like
Ding Tai Fung.
Ding Tai Fung.
Yes,
I
it's the
can just
soup
imagine you
dumplings.
arriving in 2006. Let's hit Ding Tai Fung.
I don't even really like Chinese food that much. Okay, that was not. No, like I loved the food in China, but I didn't know really what to order. And growing up, I was just Garfield. Like I ate lasagna and macaroni. Like I swear I was Italian in a past life.
So that shit was a culture. Did you
Yeah.
ever feel like on the real? Did you feel like so you didn't like the cultural food?
No,
you
I
ever-
did.
you did?
It's just I didn't know what to order always, and it wouldn't be my first choice. Like there's so many different varieties of dishes and styles of cuisine within China. Like here in Canada, you're like, oh, Chinese food, like Manchu Wok, whatever, like the food court, or no, we have Chinatown. So
Panda-
people
yeah,
are people are
Panda
more
Express.
yeah, they're more attuned to like, okay, there's like different types of Asian food. In China, though, just within Chinese food, there's Sichuan food, there's Beijing food.
Sichuan's my favorite.
There's
That's
Shanghai, there's Cantonese food. It all varies and it's very diverse and it just depends what your palate likes. For me, it's just like I always feel like I need to like wash it down with like a bunch of Diet Coke to get the MSG out of my intestines.
Oh, is that a thing?
Well, yeah, like a lot of them, they use like a
Diet
lot
Coke
of
gets
sodium.
MSG out of your intestines?
No, it just makes me feel like refreshed after.
Yeah,
like,
it's just a
okay, my palate's cleaned. Like, let's go. Gelato, you know? Like,
Do you ever
what's
feel
next?
the pressure to order like a more Chinese dish in front of like Chinese people? You know,
Not
like when you were there,
really.
did you did you see the mac and cheese, but were like, I should probably get the chicken foot?
No. Because here's the thing: it was becoming. Beijing, Shanghai, a lot of these major cities, they're actually very international. Like one of the first restaurants I went to near my apartment was like TGI Fridays. So they have a ton of Western restaurants.
Yeah.
And there's a place called Annie's in China, which is like Italian food. It's been like a staple of
Annie's, I've never
China, and it's just like they do delivery. They're so efficient. They're
Is it like Olive Garden?
McDonald's Italian food?
Oh
kind
yeah,
of. Yeah.
Annie's.
Yeah, so I ate that. I ate this Parmesan. No, it was the eggplant parm, like ricotta kind of cake thing, and it came out like this. And that was like my diet for 2 years because it was no carb, but it's also cheesy.
Delivered.
Yes, they can deliver it. Everything's delivered. Like you don't have to cook in China. And it's almost more efficient to just order food because it's cheap and there's no tipping.
Yeah, right. But it's
there's
not
no
like you break
tipping.
the bank on the tipping anyways. It's like 15% extra, but it's like
That's a lot. If
it's
you
like-
add it up here, you're like,
You
why
are.
didn't you just include that in the price?
and now 15 is the standard. So it's like the way
Now
it
you have to
works
go
now.
up to
It's
20
like
to 25.
yeah, someone's like if the service was meh or like it wasn't that good, you tip 15 and then go up from there. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus, what
Like
the
they
fuck?
up the ante. They up the minimum wage of tipping.
Exactly. And then I like how they do it in Europe. In Europe, there's the pressure to tip is not there, but they also are like, I'm going to live my life while I do this job. Don't demand anything too quickly. Like in Europe, it'll be like when you order something and they're like working on, they're at their own pace.
Yeah.
You can't really be like, it's
Yeah,
very North
yeah.
American to be like,
I gotta
where's
go
the-
somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta go to
Like,
Costco.
where
I
is
gotta
it,
go
you know?
home and watch Netflix. Hurry up.
But here, the whole like service industry is based on go, 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 go. So I'll get tipped the most.
Yes.
You know? So here it's all
Time
like
is money.
military style service just to make the most. I actually way prefer that over there. They're like living. I remember I went to Amsterdam to like some.
Yeah.
Last time I was in Amsterdam, I was in a hookah place. The girl that was running the hookah place was doing the hookahs, making the drinks. Everything was taking forever to get to, because she was servicing the whole place, but no one cared. Everyone was in these deep conversations. And I'm like, man, this is the most like, not like,
Yeah.
we
not
ordered
like-
30 minutes ago, and
Right.
I can tell by looking at people that I'm not allowed or supposed to get mad right now, you
Yes,
know?
this is the
This is the
way.
European vibe, you
Yeah,
know?
you have to conform.
Get in
to
the
that way.
vibe, right? There's the red light district.
Yeah.
It's going to take 40 minutes for you to get your fucking Arabic tea, you know what I mean? Be chill.
Arabic tea.
Yeah, or
Wow.
Turkish tea,
Oh,
rather.
okay.
Arabic tea, that's not even
Like,
a thing.
what is
it?
that? Yeah.
yeah,
I was
right?
Like, okay.
I love how Arabic coffee, or tea, I said tea. No, Turkish tea for sure. That's the move.
Yeah.
Or was I thinking Turkish? I'm 100% confused right now whether it was Turkish coffee, tea, what the fuck the concoction was.
Yeah.
But it took forever to get there is the point.
And was it worth it in the end? It tasted
I don't
good?
even remember. I was on
Yeah.
acid. It was the first time I took
See?
acid.
So it doesn't even matter because everyone's like screwed up.
Yeah,
anyway.
right.
So
Oh,
it's like,
but the owner of this place, this was the weirdest thing. The owner of this hookah place was this Turkish guy who's like openly racist. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, cause like it was the weirdest type of. He was just mad at like black people.
yeah.
He comes up to me at some point. I'm with people. He goes, he's mad that I'm smiling. He's like, what are you smiling for, kind of thing. And then like a group, I'm like, what the fuck? What a weirdo. And then a group of like people come in and one of them is black and he's wearing a hat.
Yeah.
And he goes off on this guy.
Really?
About wearing hats indoors. I'm like, oh, this guy's just a fucking, and he's wearing like, he's the most like quintessential like Turkish dude who's wearing like a fucking Persian rug for a shirt.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Just like living it, just angry. I'm like, whoa, this guy's, what the fuck's this guy's deal?
See, I think racism has different meanings in different countries. Like China, like if you live there, you'll be like, wow, this country is very racist, but not in the sense of racism as we know it here.
Yeah.
I just mean people
Yeah,
notice
I know. They
differences.
just stare.
Like,
They'll just stare at you.
well,
For
yeah,
me, they
they'll
just stare.
or they'll be like, "Oh my god, can I get a photo with you? Because you're black and I've never seen a black
Yeah,
person.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is like a panda bear to me."
Yeah.
You know, but they don't mean there's no malice behind it.
Exactly.
Whereas here
That's the
we
difference.
attribute that meaning to racism,
hatred.
Yeah, and even in China, like there's different provinces and regions, so many, and people will be like, "Okay, everyone knows that the nannies from Hunan province are shady." And that because they had a reputation for stealing. So they just take a track record or a stereotype and they're like,
From,
okay,
like,
this is what you're
a
known
long
for.
time ago, like
Exactly.
generational?
And they'll do like, it's like yellow on yellow. It's like Chinese on Chinese racism. But there's no like, there's kind of no stigma
It's-
to it.
yeah,
They're
it-
just so open about it. And it's just blunt. It's just blunt.
You know what
it's
I
not
remember?
racism.
You know what I remember in China when people would stare at me so much. I used to think in my head, okay, you can't. That's the thing about the Chinese. They used to stare at me, and I would break first, and it would drive me crazy.
Right.
Because I'm gonna look back, and then they're gonna look away, and then I'm like, this is like I can't stare this much, you know.
Makes you feel special though.
And
You're
then
like,
they're just
oh,
they don't
wow.
even bat an eye. I'm like, Jesus, this is the highest level staring.
Yeah, but they don't. It's strictly curiosity.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of
It's
them,
like a cat.
For a while, China's been like North Korea, like pre-Olympics. They just no one is allowed out. I mean, now
Oh, the
they
Olympics
are.
opened the gates for that?
It kind of did. It was kind of their opening up party to the world. And now, I mean, it's still not super easy for like people to get a visa to leave the country. But yeah, it wasn't like they could just freely travel and see the world. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
that's
there weren't a lot of foreigners coming to China, so
that's
people in
something.
the countryside don't.
That's
see
something
that.
that shocked me, which I think is some North American arrogance again. When I went to Shanghai, I was shocked at the level of English. Like it's like non-existent.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I realized in Shanghai that the level of English of the average Chinese person is the level of Chinese of the average American. Zero. You know what I mean? Like I went to like restaurants and the dude was my age and I'm thinking, oh, he'll know Hollywood and stuff. Not even a yes or a no or nothing. It's like, yo, they're living on a mega state here. They have no, the English is not like, why would they learn English? Now that I was thinking about it, it's as if like, why would I know Chinese like living in the States, you know? It's like two
Right.
mega powers.
Yeah.
I have the arrogance that everybody speaks a little English. Not in
Yes.
China.
No.
No,
Yeah.
they're their own thing.
Yeah.
You got to remember that when you're there.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, fuck. I'm so like Americanized, you know? I'm like, what? You guys you can't even tell
Right,
me on
very
this menu English?
ethnocentric. I know. Well, I'll tell you a funny thing. I was in Chinatown recently with a few other comedians, and we were at like a dim sum restaurant. And this elderly white couple came and sat next to us, and we're having like a little comedian meeting. And I guess we weren't even that loud, okay? And then they were like, "Excuse me, can you lower your voices?" And we were like, "What? You come into a Chinese dim sum restaurant?" And then the funny thing is, like, we just kind of shot back at them. Like moments later, the restaurants just started bursting with activity, and they hear like these Chinese people like, "Oh my god," blah, 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 like going off. And then it's like, wow, like they had it good when they were just listening to us.
Yeah, right.
But like coming into a Chinese restaurant and then like telling us to lower our voices is like, you know, going to a Chinese person's house and like refusing to take off your shoes. Like, do you not know what you've stepped into?
Yeah, exactly. Or like being
Like,
in
how
like
arrogant.
a black barbershop trying to take a phone call. Like, can you be quiet? You know?
Yeah,
It's like,
or just,
go
you know,
outside. Yeah, this place is never gonna be quiet. You know, it's just not against. That's against the nature of this fucking place.
Yeah.
You know, I went to. I spent a lot of time in Japan. I went to Japan first, and then I went to. Japan has amazing PR in the world. You know, everyone loves Japan. Everyone wants to go to Japan. Japan. I went to Japan. And then I never would have thought I actually much prefer Shanghai over because the percentage of locals to expats is an amazing ratio in Shanghai.
Right.
Right? There's such a huge expat population. So you have like this sick vibe where at any given time you will see a non-Chinese person. Maybe if it's a 1 in 100, right? In Japan, no. In Tokyo, you could be in a situation where it's like, I realized that one time I'm in a super long subway. I'm on the subway and it's like one of those bendy subways. And every now and then the tunnel straightens out. It's a long stretch and all the little carts line up. And I'm in the middle and I looked all the way to the left, down like 10 carts and all the way to the right. And I didn't see one person of a different complexion. Like, I don't know, one, like in hundreds of people. I'm like, Jesus, fuck, you know?
Yeah, that's what I hear is not exactly, I guess, tourist friendly. Like you should know some Japanese, like.
But the
and
Japanese
the
also
people don't necessarily speak English. Like it's very hard.
It's much no, it's
Yeah.
way higher level
Yeah.
than China for
Right,
sure.
right.
And they're also curious, but with much more like
disdain.
a little disdain, but it's much more like if they see me, if I look at
They
them staring,
won't
they look
stare.
away.
Yeah.
They will stare until I look. It's like
because they're polite.
in China, it's kind of like they just keep looking. It's like what the fuck? Oh fuck! It's like they look at somebody looked at me in a bus in China, just like how I would look at a kangaroo like in a zoo.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
Just like
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that pouch. You know? I'm like, what the fuck? One time, one dude got ambushed in China. One of the engineers was tall black dude. Another coworker was like NBA, and he literally got ambushed by
Wow.
people.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
he's a
can
tall
see that
black
happening.
dude. He just
Yeah.
said NBA.
Oh my
People
goodness.
They're trying to take pictures and figure it out afterwards.
Right.
You know.
Right. Oh gosh, NBA in China. Yeah, that was.
I miss China. I want to go back to Shanghai. You know what I liked about it too is like the buildings. You see buildings in Shanghai where it's like that architecture would not get approved here.
No.
It's like a ball on top of a fucking
right,
pole.
with the disco ball.
Yeah, you're
It's
like, what the fuck?
It's like that Niagara Falls carnival section where things are just like lit up, but on a grander scale.
I
Have you been to
just
Niagara
saw. I
Falls?
just saw that like 6 months ago for the first time in my life, and I grew up in the area.
Yeah.
I'm like that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, they had that thing, right? That light
that
structure.
whole
that's
section
like
of it.
from the 70s.
No, I meant
Back to the Future.
the downtown Niagara Falls.
Yeah,
I've never
that's
even
what I
been
mean.
there. That whole
it's
like
so fun.
festival.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
like,
so-
what is this?
It's kind of trashy, but
It
kind of
is
fun.
very trashy. The lights, God. It looks like
It's like one part of CNE that's
Right.
deserted.
it looks like a Louisiana State Fair, you know?
Right.
Wow, there's lights and everything.
But it's so fun.
And yeah.
Oh my God.
So what's going on with you?
Not much. Just hustling and grinding, being a mom, doing the comedy.
You out here? I see you keeping it.
It's
You're
just
in like
Instagram. I'm just very compulsive about posting stuff. And so people are like under the illusion, like, oh, she's busy. She's hustling. I mean, I am, but like someone else could be too. And they just could be lazy on social media so you don't see it. So it's just smokes and mirrors, you know?
I wish I just had the money to pay someone to do all my social media.
Yeah, it's a total different job.
I want to get off of it so bad. And I realize I'm not good at promotion. I'm not, you know? there's something there that I'm missing. Sometimes I see people promoting things. I'm like, yes, that's all there. It has all the aspects. I want to support this, but something about the way I promote is just like, and I was listening I heard like on a podcast, people saying like comics are either good comedians or good promoters.
Wow.
You know?
I think you can be both.
And every now and then you get someone like Kevin Hart will say, like,
Yeah.
who's killing it at both, right?
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, okay, that made me actually feel a little bit better because I knew deep down that my promotion level is garbage. I'm like, oh, that means I'm a good comic.
But you know what? Like
if that's how the math works.
I think the nature of stand-up where we're doing live shows and if you're not documenting something, it just gets lost. It's like if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, did it make a sound? Like,
Yeah.
you know, so you need to like take
If
that
no one's
level
there to
of-
repost.
So even if you do a picture of you doing comedy, like, okay, you did it. It exists.
Yeah, exactly. If you killed on stage and no one videotaped the boomerang for Instagram, did it happen?
Did it happen?
Did it happen?
Did you kill
Did
or
you
not?
kill? No.
That's why
There's no
I'm so
boomerang.
nice. I always take stories of everybody. That's the communist in me.
Yo, you have the craziest tripod I've ever seen. That fucking thing that
Amazon,
just
baby.
folds
They're
down.
all made
it
in
folds
China.
down to handheld.
Yeah, they're all made in China.
Swivel and fucking turn, and it's got like a
Serious.
gyro in it.
I've gone through so many. Yeah.
That one? I thought that one. It
That
felt
one, no, this one I've
bulletproof.
had
The one
'cause-
that I held last time.
Yeah, because it has the metal
the fuck is
reinforcement
this?
at the base. But if
Yeah.
you don't, the plastic can break off. Like
Oh shit!
the leg.
You know your
Yeah, I know
tripods at
myself.
this point.
But yeah,
Are you submitting anything to Winnipeg?
I'm trying to. Like
Yeah?
tonight at Thompson Hotel, I was trying to do
To get a
Vices.
tape?
Yeah, but I'm so, you know, like I'm not exactly the cleanest comic. It's really hard for me to just be like pure.
Yeah, you're actually like you got a lot of blue stuff and like.
I do.
Yeah.
But you know, I can be clean. Like if
Yeah,
I work
I've seen
really
you.
hard.
Yeah.
Like, and there are things that I might edit to make it clean. It's just, it's very hard to make it
that's-
for TV.
I know it's
Yeah.
because then you ask yourself, it's like I'm going so against the grain of what I'm actually trying to put out.
And it's like, is this even
And
me?
exactly.
Is this even me? Like,
So let's say they choose you, and then now you're playing within this.
right, safe space.
Yeah, this mold that you
Yeah.
made for submission purposes. Now you're operating in the festival in that mold.
Yeah.
You know?
Now you're like the Hallmark Christmas movie comedy version of yourself.
Yeah,
Just
and then you
like,
turn around, you're like, "Excuse me," just like, "What a fucking cunt, cunt." Okay, I'm sorry about that. So
Yeah,
I have 3 lovely boys, Mark, Steven, and
And then my Tourette's syndrome.
Yeah.
Kicks. They're fucking assholes. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them.
you have boys too, huh?
I do.
And you have
3.
no girls?
No. I wanted a girl so badly.
3 boys?
3 boys.
Oh, did you
Yeah.
want to? That's the danger zone.
I did.
My
I wanted my
coworker-
last one to be a girl.
My
you know?
coworker had 3 girls, and he's like, "I'm going for I'm going." He wants the boy so bad,
And then it's a
everyone's
girl.
Like, and no, he didn't go for
No,
it. Everyone's
okay.
that 3rd to 4th kid is. That's
Look,
would you go
after
for it?
3 kids,
Yeah.
it's just whatever. It's another gerbil in the pen. You know what I mean? Like just let him run around. Like
I
it's
was the
fine.
4th kid, so I'm.
Are you
I'm
one
the
of
4th.
4?
No, I'm
Wow.
one of 6, but I was the 4th.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the family style where we used to run a fucking farm, I guess. You know what I mean? Like I have a family unit that's built to operate a nice
like
farm with
corporation.
some livestock.
Okay. But that's what they had kids like.
That's what I'm saying. It's like that system.
Yeah, like China has a one-child policy, but in the rural
Still?
areas.
I thought they got rid of that.
They changed it,
Yeah.
but their whole policy before because of overpopulation. But if you go to rural areas, like people back in the day would just have a bunch of kids because it was like free employees. Like that was the reason to have kids.
The whole world was essentially
Also, no birth control.
And a couple of them are going to die, you know? I mean, that's just...
Yeah, like during
mortality
the cultural...
was not what it is today. Mortality rates, like everything would take you out back then. Diarrhea would kill everybody.
Right.
You know, I just watched that Bill Gates documentary. Now I know about that.
Yeah, even acne. No, I'm joking.
Imagine.
It would kill me.
Yeah.
I would just be like, there's
All
no
she
Proactive.
needed was a single bottle of Proactive. Where was Jennifer Hudson?
She killed herself because she had acne.
Was it Jennifer Hudson who... Proactive got more celebrities than anybody else.
I know.
Now that I think back, every celebrity was sponsored by Proactive.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
For sure, because they had so many celebrities. I'm like,
Yeah.
clearly their entire
something
budget
going
is
on.
marketing.
Yeah.
You know? Clearly. Like,
Oh, gosh. I
how do they
hate
have the
acne.
money
Yeah.
to hire? They have everybody. They have Tiger Woods. And I'm talking about pre-scandal, too. That's expensive Tiger Woods.
Katy Perry,
Yeah.
too, I think.
That's
I don't know.
These are premium names right now.
Right.
Did you ever use Proactive?
No, I used Accutane.
Did you have bad acne?
I didn't, but I'm a perfectionist. And when I went to China, I actually broke out in so much acne. And I went to like this spa and they would like do like, extractions. And they really like screwed up my skin.
Like
did.
blackheads and stuff like that?
Yeah. And so like, I've just like, I think women and acne, it's a lifelong thing. And I think going to China, oh my God, I'll tell you a quick story because I know we got to wrap up. But
yeah, we got to get a studio fucking a little
yeah.
Bad, but sorry,
I
keep going.
actually like, I got a few cosmetic procedures done in China and it's kind of risky because a lot of it's like, I'll tell you this, on April Fool's Day, 2008, I got my boobs done in the lobby of an apartment building masking as a medical spa.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
are you glad I'm alive?
Yeah, and the anesthesiologist is like, it's on April Fool's.
No.
You're like, ah.
No, my thinking was like China's number 1 in the world for fake goods.
Yeah.
So it makes sense
Oh.
that I could get my
You did the
boobs.
whole thing for a bit. Let's be honest. You did that whole thing for a
I
bit.
didn't. But I mean, like, there's just so much plastic surgery going on there. And everyone, if you see some of these girls, like, you could see.
I've seen
like,
the
you don't-
Koreans. I've
you
seen
don't
the
know-
Korean
Yeah,
girls.
but you
They
don't
go
know
hard.
if it's like a filter or if it's because they've had that much work done.
Yeah.
And usually it's they've had that much work done.
I know it's real big. The
It's
eye
insane.
thing and
Oh,
the
it's
nostril
huge.
thing.
They
in,
just
like,
want to look
Korea.
white.
Yeah, right?
Truly.
100%.
It's a little sad, but that's the
I wonder
reality.
when North America will start doing operations to try to look Asian. I wonder if that's in the next 100 years. Ooh, the big switch.
I don't know.
Yo, I'll
It's
say
called,
this
like
though.
yellow face.
My older sister used to have a lot of skin problems, and then when she had her kid, I remember
It
when I
cleared up.
saw her the first time I saw her out of the hospital, and her skin was better than I ever seen in her life. It was perfect, and she's had like blemishes her whole life. And after this kid, it cleared up to a level I didn't even understand. It was almost like all the old scarring was gone too. I'm like,
Wow.
this hormonally, like her
Yes.
body needed that, I
Yeah.
guess. And I had no idea those were connected at all.
They are.
Have you ever seen that before?
Oh, no, because I developed a thyroid disease
Okay.
problem when I was in China, and that really screwed me up. So I'm still on meds for life now.
Well, look at you. It's working out.
Oh,
Whatever
thank
you're doing,
you. I hope
it's right.
so.
I got to wrap up on that compliment.
All right.
We're doing an early one. Hey, plug away.
Okay, let me pluggy. December 1st, I'll be doing my first kind of major headline set in Toronto.
Hell yeah. Where
At the Rivoli, 9:30 p.m. You can get tickets. Just look up Rice Asian Comedy Showcase. And also follow me on Instagram because I need to hit 1,000 followers before my next period. Jennifer Comedian.
Or Dire Circumstances. I'm going to be releasing... if you are in London, Ontario, come out November 20th to the Callback Comedy Show with Mike Rita headline. It's going to be great. Plug in that. November 20th at 8 p.m. It's going to be popping off. And you know all the extra stuff. Tell your friends about the Immigrant section. Rate it. Do all this stuff. Yo, I got to have you back on full episode. Sorry about all this.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Peace.